What's up, everybody? It's Rodney Clay, you know, the host of the Rodney Clay Show. I got my man Marvin Kincaid here. Marvin Kincaid is well, he does a lot of stuff in the financial. I think you would call him a CPA or an accountant. He's done it for a lot of big corporations, and then he went on to start his own business. In fact, businesses. I got him here with us today. We're gonna check it out. We could just jump right into it. We going live on YouTube. It feel like it's live too. Feel like it's like okay, this is really happening. So let's get it going. Hey Marv, I think you're muted.
Oh, you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Hey, how you doing, good brother?
Doing good, doing good. How you, man?
I'm good, man. Busy as ever. Even though we under a pandemic, all that type stuff. I'm
Uh huh.
hustling hard out here.
Yeah, what you got going on?
Well, you always know the financial stuff with the income tax preparation, accounting stuff. So
Right.
like with that, with all this this grant money and stuff that they was giving away and tax on top of the accounting, that kind of kept me pretty busy and trying to make sure folks was in compliance with trying to get some of this grant money and loan money and
Yeah. How does that work? I heard. It was a couple of rappers that got arrested. Like they were getting some like unemployment money, and it was
Oh
just
yeah, I heard. Yeah, so it was a few rappers. They got caught up with it because what they did was, I think one of the rappers. I'm not sure who it was, but one of the little somebody or whatever. I think they got like they got the pandemic. It's called the payroll protection program.
right,
They got the money for that, but then what happened was it's like a forgivable loan, and you're supposed to use that money to pay your employees and help fund fund your business while it's pretty much shut down because of the pandemic. And
right, right,
this guy decided to use the money to floss, so to speak.
right.
But so I don't know who dimed him out. I don't know who was if he was already under surveillance or whatever. But they seen they came and pretty much got him locked up or whatever. He got locked up. But yeah,
Okay.
I'm sure that's something that's probably easy. If you have a good accountant, that's easy to beat.
Right.
Sort of.
Well,
So
how would you beat it? He would just have to, because as long as you have a business, then you could.
well, first of all, it's one of those situations. He just got the money, so who's to say that this money wasn't, um, that money wasn't going to already be allocated for something.
Right,
What I mean?
right,
So it's not like you have to pay this money off by this particular. Well, you do have. You're supposed to have it paid off by June 1st, and you should supposed to be able to show how it went to your payroll. So
right.
my thing is, we haven't even got that far yet. You know what I mean? It's from what I understand. From what I understand with the story, he just got the bread like within a few weeks, not even a month time, and then they was like, oh, you didn't use the money for this. And I personally think they was just using that as an example. So they made him an example to say, don't go out and start spending this money on frivolous things that doesn't have nothing to do with the bottom line of your business. I think they
Right.
wanted to become an example. And but yeah, if you have a business, you have a legitimate business, and if you if at the end of this if you haven't paid the money back by this particular time, I think it's June 1st, 2021, then all the money that went to the bottom line of your business is supposed to be forgivable. So if he used the money to floss and all that, then yeah, he has to give that money back to the feds. So,
Okay. Now is that
but
is
yeah, so yeah, that's the type of stuff. I don't even want my people to get that far. You know what I mean? I
right?
want to keep everybody. I want everybody to get the bread they're supposed to be getting,
Now,
and
how does that work? What is that? Because you were talking about you were working on stuff with grants. What's that? What kind of grants are
well,
those?
depending on where it was, well, for example, I'm in the state of Pennsylvania, so they got this. It's called the PA CARES Act, where they're giving based on your business activity for 2019, you may qualify for a grant from $5,000 to $50,000.
Mm.
So what they're required to see is a 2019 tax return for your business. If you haven't produced one, then you have to produce a profit and loss statement from March to June, and then based off of that, you are in line to receive this grant. So if your business did $20,000 in in 2019, then you may qualify for a grant between ten to $20,000, for example. So
Wow.
activity is based on how much money you give, but the minimum is $5,000. Um, and you just have to have all your ducks in order. You have to have produced a 2019 tax return. You have to show proof that you have an active business account. You know what I mean? You have to show proof that you are indeed the owner of the business, or you're one of the owners of the business. So Pennsylvania has one. I know I did one for Pennsylvania, and I did one for Florida also. They're doing something similar. So
Now,
so
what part do you play in it? You just make sure you're almost like the lawyer on a financial level for like
well,
between
right.
the
I'm kind of I'm what my main goal is as I help to. I'm like the liaison between the because what happens is the each one of these you have to go through known as a financial resource center. Like there's the West Philadelphia Financial, it's called, yeah, West Philadelphia Financial Center. Then there's this other one called Women's Resource Center. Like the Urban Enterprise, they're one. So you don't actually go through a bank for this one. Whereas like the Pro Protection Program, you actually have to go through a bank. But this one, you actually go through one of these financial resource centers, and then they actually make sure your stuff is in compliance, and then they pass it along to the to I guess to the state, and then they let you know if they need any more information. So I'm kind of like the liaison. I'll talk
Mhm.
with the whoever the representative is, and I'll relay it to the owner of the business to make sure that they have everything, profit and loss statements, all that type of stuff. So because a lot of business folks just want to concentrate on a business. If you're a hair salon, you just want to concentrate on getting more customers
Right,
and so you don't care, not to say you don't care, but you
right,
not want to be entangled with what was
right.
your
It's not the
loss
priority.
third quarter or whatever.
Yeah, got you.
So so
Now, what? Yeah. Okay, go ahead. What are you saying?
no, I was gonna say so that's pretty much that it's time consuming, but it's important because we want to, as you know, African Americans, we always, wind up being the last ones to receive this money. And by
Right,
the time we receive it, we're fighting over pennies. You know what I
right,
mean?
right,
So what I wanted, that's another thing I wanted to make sure that I do, because with grant money, that's given from the state, they have to publish who received that money. So when the first listing came out, I mean, this is for the state of Pennsylvania. We're
right,
the Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. We're one of the largest, urban areas as far as
right,
Pennsylvania. But of course, we were kind of peppered in as far as when you seen who was getting most of this grant money. So that's another thing that I had to do was kind of
right,
and talk to my state reps and some of the Congress people to say how come we have the majority of businesses are in Philadelphia, and the urban community is suffering the greatest, but how come we're receiving less of this money?
right,
So in the second phase, you kind of seen more of Philadelphia getting getting most of the grant money in
right.
Pennsylvania.
Now, I want to ask you something because you mentioned the Congress people, and then we're talking economics. And on a previous show, I was talking about like that. Those are some of the good things. In fact, I think the guest even said he said Trump was one of the presidents that actually put money like in your hand. What do you think about like the economy overall during the Trump presidency? Because I'd say he really only had 2 years, because after that it was like you had COVID. You had like a full
Right,
year,
right,
so he didn't really get to implement a lot of stuff he wanted to do. He checked off all the things he said he would do, the wall, peace in the Middle East. Now they just signed some kind of deal. Some countries, Morocco and another country. So
right,
he stopped the thing with Kim Jong Un. They probably would have gunned at him at something, but he's calmed down. So what
right.
at least on an economic level, without getting too much into politics, but what do you think about the Trump presidency, at least from a financial level?
Yeah, well, see, in the kind of, as you know, economics and politics go hand in hand. But
Okay.
I mean, one of the main things that you see that he tried to do, well, yeah, because that's the main thing that people were looking at when him coming in was that okay, since he's a businessman, he's going to open up things a lot more. So, right. And so what you did have, you had the first 2 years, you kind of seen where he was really coming directly at China,
Hmm.
dealing with
Right.
the, because that has a direct impact on that's going to have a direct impact on our economy in the future. I mean, if you look to see what China's doing in the, and I'm not, I'm not mad at
Right.
you. You do what you do. This is, it's fair play when it comes to business, but
Right.
you got to see how they're building up that infrastructure, or they were building up the infrastructure in the continent of Africa and a lot of these regions.
Right.
So that has some influence on what's going on in our economy. So the first 2 years, he kind of set the narrative, uh, pretty much dealing with how we should be looking at, or how he wants the American people to look at and view China because of the way that they just structured everything in intellectual property, and how they're in his words, they were stealing a lot of our intellectual property and
Right.
copying and pasting it for their own, which was depleting our economy. Then of
Hmm.
course, he tried to make the correlation between the COVID and China, which
Right.
there's some pretty hard evidence for that,
Right.
to how it's going to affect our economy. So now that this COVID has taken place, what it actually has done is even though it's crippled the economy, which is one of but what it's also have done is also has reset and I look at it as also resetting the economy. So once we come out of this, we could kind of come out of it a little bit um, with a stronger vision and stronger mission for our business. Because there used to be this time people would say, "Yo, you got to go in this particular business. It's recession proof." Whereas
Right.
now there's no such thing as a recession, which I'll never believe that there's a such thing as a recession-proof business. Any business can have can have a negative bottom line if you're not protected. So what you come out now understanding is that you need to have multiple sources of income to protect yourself, to protect your family, to protect your just to protect your brand. So one of the things that I think what Trump has tried to do as he's tried to continue to pump money into the economy. That's one of the reasons why he set, he reduced the payroll tax. That's one of the main things he did, reduce the payroll tax so that people have more money, working class have more money in their paychecks at the end of the day. So
Right.
a lot of folks didn't understand that of him recalibrating the tax rate, but it actually has a positive effect on families, working class families. So he's done all those things pre-COVID. Now, when COVID came in, one of the things that the first thing that they tried to do was they gave you the stimulus package. I
Mm.
don't think it's enough. I think they need to do another one. But as you see, people wanted to blame him for it. And the bottom line is, they're already talking once he gets removed from office. They're already talking that they're not going to give another stimulus package. They may
Wow.
just do something for the unemployed people, and that's to me that's not good enough. You know what I
Right.
mean? So to answer your question, or the bottom line to your question, I think Trump has had I think overall he's had a pretty influential, and I would say he could have had the opportunity to have a positive impact, but because of the pandemic, is never going to be looked upon that. And I think that's why he was fighting so hard for another 4 more years
Right.
at the thing, because I think the economic impact that he would have made would have probably been beneficial, especially for the small business entrepreneurs in the urban community.
Wow. So they
That's my personal
yeah.
opinion. Now,
Right.
if you're asking about environmental stuff and that's another issue, but you're asking about
Right. On a business
actually
level, yeah.
on a business level, yes, because a lot of things that he's done, or a lot of things that he was trying to put into place and has done, I think has definitely made. I mean, one of the biggest things as a business owner, for me personally, like I had to, if I didn't, I need, we're getting older, we need health insurance. So for a lot
Right.
of folks, we was forced into Obamacare.
Right.
You know what I mean? And there's a lot of people that just, I mean, Obamacare was a good idea. It was a good
Right. Right.
thought process, you know what I mean? But it was
Mhm.
such but at the bottom line is it hurt a lot of people and it hurt a lot of small businesses, and there was a penalty. So one of the things Trump did was he removed the penalty from that, you know,
Mm.
and then and now in Pennsylvania, which is a Democratic state, they wound up being just about getting rid of Obamacare altogether this year, or for
Right.
2021.
Right.
So yeah, like I said, he definitely could have had a greater influence going into if he had the opportunity to have 4 more years, and once this whole pandemic has been lifted.
Right.
But unfortunately, that's going to be the cloud as we approach 2021. Because I hear a lot of businesses. I just got off the phone with one of my clients that's pretty good business that's doing real well and during this time. I mean,
What do they do?
and I wish I could. I just had him on the phone.
Right.
I would have loved to give him a testimonial. But
Right.
they do distribution. They do distribution for health and wellness products. So
Okay.
as you know, this especially right during this time, this is what folks need to build their immune system. I mean, they're
Mm.
providing all the good the the good resources, good things that you need to provide, to keep your immune system um, and they're doing very well. And the main thing that they're doing is they're giving back to the community and investing in their community to help others with other businesses that's going to help the community. So that's what it's about. It's about recycling your own dollar to help build up your community. And the good
Mm-hmm.
thing about it is so for him, it's a good time for a lot of businesses in our community that are that are providing quality services. It's a good time for them. You know what I mean? So that's the situation. And on top of that, they're giving out this federal loan money. They're giving out the grant money so
Right.
to keep these businesses afloat because
Do you think there'll be a difference in that when we under this new administration, the Biden Harris administration? What do you think? What do you
I'm
on a forecast level?
the only thing we can do, like you say, a forecast is we have to go back and look at the past. And I know Biden, he's been, I've, his he has a plan. He's put a plan together for businesses, for black businesses, but I don't know. But it's one thing to put the plan together. It's one thing, and it's one thing to understand the culture of business. So I think that the good thing is because they are under surveillance, because they are coming in with a great deal of scrutiny towards, from the black community,
Right.
they're going to have that spotlight on them for them to do the right thing. But the problem is, and the sad thing is, I think that Biden and Harris are so out of touch that they may not even know what the right thing is to, how to best help them, how to
Right.
best help our community. So
Well, what do you say? What do you say that would be? What would be the best thing? But and because you're more boots on the ground, you're dealing with consultation with small businesses in your area.
right,
So what do you see that they need to be maintained, to be added? What is it that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris
what they
need to
need to
know?
do, yeah, because one of the things, what they need to do is they need to make um, what is it? The banks, because that's where it starts with the lending institutions.
Mm.
Need to. That's the first thing that it starts at is needing to make the lending institutions more accessible and more friendly for businesses in our community. That starts with the consumer fair, the Consumer Act.
Hmm.
That's one of the first things that they really need to do is say, listen, your businesses, and that we use these individuals use you for mortgages, and so you're quick to give us a loan for that. You're quick to give us a loan for school, but now what you need to do is give us a loan for us to really invest in our businesses, develop our businesses, expand our businesses. So that's one of the first things that they need to do is find a way to bridge the gap between these financial institutions like the Wells Fargo, who already, Bank of America, they already
Hmm.
got hit with so much lawsuits and already have to pay out so much money because of unfair
Hmm.
practice and unethical practices. That now it's like, why don't y'all now let's do the right thing and let's start to really invest in I'll say native businesses in the community because they're quick to give the money to, for
Right.
gentrification.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we have to be clear on that because that's what will happen is that, they'll pass something and then what happens is the Starbucks and all these other companies will come in and they'll use that they'll get their hands on that money to use that to build the community and to look a certain way. When we need it to look clean in a certain way also, but what we don't need them to do is bring in these larger franchises,
Right.
more the mom and pop stores that's represented by our culture and ethnicity. So hopefully that's what they need. That's what they need to do. Now, how they do it, or is a different story. But that's the basis
Right.
of what we need to do.
Because I
Because
heard, I was just seeing yesterday, former President Barack Obama, he was in Georgia, and they were basically trying to rally people for the Senate. I think it's the Senate, or I'm not sure. It was one of the three branches of the government, and he was saying
right.
there's two seats there that if they can't secure those two seats, then it doesn't matter what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris puts out. It would
Mm-hmm.
it just they can just reject it, like veto it or something.
Right. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's. I mean, that's what Barack had to deal with. But see, that's the importance of understanding. Um, for both for just us in general, as us as when I say us, I'm talking about people that represent our community as far as like
Right.
African American community, small business community. Um, um, One of the things that we just have to understand, no matter we're Democrat or Republican, we just have to understand the game of politics because Barack was going to do what he's going to do to because he's a Democrat, man. He's the face of the Democratic Party, so he's going to do what he needs to do to get those seats secured by for Biden and Harris. But what we have to look at in general is as I say, we can't be a slave to any of these parties. You
Right.
know, and we can't just be as we just have to be open and honest about what is my individual for my family, for me and my family. What is our agenda? What are we going to need to do to get further ahead? And what I always look at is the fact that sometimes it's not, it may not be straight line Democrat or straight line Republican. You may need this person for this situation
Right.
and that person, so you may need a Trump to be the president or the head, but you may also need to get, a good,
Right.
congressman. That's a good example. Well, I'll use my example for you. My best example is when I went into the voting booth, who are one of the people that I always make sure that I vote for, since they've been appointed into Congress, is Dwight Evans.
Okay.
Dwight Evans, he congressman from PA, but one of the things about Dwight Evans is that he gave me my first, or helped to give me my first business loan when I was 17, 18.
Hmm.
There he went, as a result, I started my magazine and, I production company thing going on. And so it gave me insight to how to really effectively run my own business. You know what I
Right.
mean? So he was able to put that together. So then from there, he went on to put together the West Oak Lane Jazz Festival, which was one of the biggest jazz festivals in the nation. You know what I mean? Which was in my own backyard. So you've seen this guy actually putting things together and making moves and doing stuff with that had a direct impact on his community. So and if you've been to West Oak Lane, you see it's a thriving middle class community.
Right.
Um, so from there, he always had my vote because I can look and seen directly what he's done to make an impact on his community, to make an impact to me individual. Now I don't know if you could say the same thing about our future president and vice president who's been
Right.
in there for a while. I don't it's not to pick at him, but I'm just
Hmm.
saying that I mean they have these feel good personal stories. Oh, Joe Biden did this,
Right.
as a humanitarian. but things that actually had a direct impact. Now, of course, he's dealing with Delaware, which is one of the smallest states, but
Right.
even still, I mean, one of the main claim to fame that he has, that he speaks so highly of, is of course the crime bill, and that crime
Right.
bill did nothing for me or my family, and a lot of our families, are, even to this day, are still feeling the impact of
Right.
crime.
Right.
So, so, so I look at that as just saying, yeah, you definitely have to. We can't be one-sided to just say, if anything, we have to put together these coalitions. Like there's this gun coalition I know they got in Georgia, and they got these, that's protecting Second Amendment rights, and
Right.
then these other coalitions. So you have even to put together an economic coalition to say this is who we're going to go for as far as this is concerned, so that your vote really do make a difference. And then when people get into that office, that they held accountable for the stuff that they want to say, that they said they was going to do.
Right. Right. And you mentioned that a little earlier when you were saying about with this these government grants, how a lot of times by the time the communities, the urban communities find out about it, they're getting pennies from it. So the differences. And so, but what you mentioned though is how you confronted your Congress people, you wrote letters, you campaigned. And I was talking to
Right.
somebody else on a previous show. He was saying how his mother and his grandmother, they would campaign and everything to get potholes fixed. So I know that a lot of times I know even myself, I'm lacking in knowledge of politics as far as like, I mean, I learn as I go along. Like I know that ever since Obama, that's when I really found out about the three branches of government. I'm sure I've heard it before in elementary school, but I never paid attention to it to
Oh, right,
see,
right,
the
right.
machine in action. Whereas, you'll have, regardless, it's, I guess I just wanted to know, what would be a good point of reference to get started in politics? Like if somebody from the hood is watching this and,
Well, yeah, I mean, as you know, there's a lot of, I mean, information is out there as far as like YouTube. So I would say I mean, there's so much out there now dealing with politics, and there's so much of a great history of politics that it's almost like, well, where do you want to, it's like, where do
right.
you start? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because one of the things that I'm always fascinated about is when you hear the story um, how the politics, because what we know right now, we know Democrat, Republican.
Right.
So you even understand how that even came to be, and how the Republican Party even came to be, and where it's at now. That's definitely a good start, because
Right.
they're still trying to. There's a county in North Carolina, Williamsport, North Carolina, who that's one of the first um, cities that's going to be that has given reparations
Really.
the wrongdoing of African Americans, and specifically when they helped to form. So before Tulsa, Oklahoma, I'm sure you heard about Tulsa.
Yeah.
The Republican Party was formed and was strong out there, and all this, most of the state reps and the congressmen and all were black, were African American, and they was registered Republican.
Yeah.
Because what it meant to be Republican then is a little bit. They try to make it the same, but it's a little bit different. It's pretty much the same style of philosophy, which is what it meant to be the government out of your business. And as you
Wow.
know, that was a big thing for if you, especially from the South, as a black man, because you didn't need you wanted to just conduct your business,
Right.
your thing, make your money, be an entrepreneur, and not have the police on your back,
Right.
not any government officials on your back. So one of the things that they done was that's how the Republican Party was formed there. But also what happened is the Democrats, or I should say which was majority Democrat, they actually killed them and then chased most of them out of town. So now those Republican seats are voided, and now they're filled with Democratic faces. So
Wow.
so if you copy and paste that and fast forward, that's what you have today. So and so that's why we have to be careful with just these labels of Democrat, Republican, but it's always good to understand the history of how this stuff came to be.
Right.
So to get started, I would just say I would just say to get started, for me, the fascinating thing is I look at personalities. So I say, well, what did this person do? Well, what did this person do? So then it gets beyond, um, it goes beyond just the presidency. Like a good example, if you look at the Kennedys, you had Bobby Kennedy. What was Bobby, especially in the 60s? That's a good
Right.
reference because you had all these different Kennedys that was coming out. You had the president, of course. Then you had, Bobby Kennedy, who was who I guess he represented the judicial part of government because he was the attorney general.
Right.
You know what I mean? So once you see their positions as it related to the president, then you see the oppositions. Like one of his oppositions, of course, was J. Edgar Hoover.
Right.
Hoover
Right.
was in opposition to the Kennedys, but yet
That's
Bobby
like
Kennedy.
the Teamsters and stuff, right? That was like with that was his problem. What was the opposition from?
Well, J. Edgar Hoover was the head of the FBI.
Oh, okay, that's right. Okay. I'm
So
thinking of
one of the things,
Hoffa.
yeah. So right. So one of the things, though, but they had two different agendas. Usually, the U.S. attorney, and the FBI are usually working hand in hand.
Right.
The situation was because everybody has personality, so everybody has flaws, and a lot of folks can be compromised in their positions. So I
Right.
believe FBI. I mean, my personal belief, especially once you read a lot of things, as you know, J. Edgar Hoover had a specific agenda, and his agenda was to pretty much make sure that there's no black messiah. So his
Right.
agenda was pretty much destroy everybody from Marcus Garvey all the way straight through to the Black Panther Party.
Right.
So, now, the U.S. attorney had a different agenda. His agenda, Bobby Kennedy's
Right.
agenda was to just to get rid of these mafia cats. And
Right.
Hoover was like, oh, hey, there is no mafia. What are you talking about?
Mhm.
So as a result, when you see how these things play out, and then you see the consequences of them playing out, you get to understand the power that every position holds. That's why I say, so you say, what's a good start? Now I think about it, Eisenhower era going into the Kennedy era, you get a chance to see how all those how those branches of government play out, from the legislative to the judicial. In terms of just because with the legislative, that's where the once King was killed, that's where you have they opened up the Housing Act, so they made the housing a little bit more fair for African Americans.
Right.
After the riots. Matter of fact, I think they actually called it the Riot Act. So after he was killed, and it
Right.
was rioting over the world, over the nation, then that's when they came up with this act of another Consumers Affairs Act to kind of make it just kind of make it feasible for African Americans to kind of open up
Exists. Yeah.
and
Like really,
and
yeah.
just be able to navigate and to move outside of their communities if they wanted to. So, because these communities that they had set up for us
Right.
was
Right.
actually set up for us. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah. No, because I was talking with somebody about that before. They were talking about redlining. I think you just said that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So,
Yeah.
that's one of the things. But so you see where all these things come from, and you can, and so that, and all this stuff. That's what I'm saying. All this stuff was pretty much in the '60s. A lot of this stuff was developed, created, and that's why. So I think if you want to get started with understanding politics, the grimy side of it, the good side of it, I think you may want to start with that. All
Yeah. At least
the
Eisenhower era, right?
60s. The
Yeah.
Eisenhower going into the Kennedys, going
Right.
into the was it then Johnson and Nixon? Because
Yeah. I agree. I agree with that.
always
Yeah.
already all the way leading up to Reagan, and you kind of see you kind of see how we are where we are, and how we got to be where we are. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? I think because that's kind of when when African Americans, as we call ourselves,
Mhm.
what they call us,
Right.
when we really started to have, we always had the ability to vote, but we just never had the power to vote.
Right.
People think we ability, the power came in, and black men always had the ability, but we were always bullied and
Right.
threatened, into oh boy, if you go down there, we want to,
Right.
we
Right.
want to go
Right.
home
Yeah.
and your family going to be dead, that
Right.
whole thing. So
Right. Right.
so that's the whole situation. But and then of course, then they set up these stupid quizzes and tests that you had to pass to see if you were really qualifying to vote, and it
Right.
didn't have to do with nothing. So they always played that game because they always knew that our vote would, if we have the power to control the politics of our community, then we can control the economic. We can reverse a
Right.
lot of things. That's why they got to put some moles and stuff like that to
Mhm.
kind of us neutralize.
Do you think it's a
So
solution out of it? I mean, because they obviously everything you described was just people cheating. Like, okay, the Constitution says that we're Americans, that we have the right to vote, we have the right to do everything that you do. And when we go to do it,
mm-hmm.
you'll do stuff like voter suppression or like you
Right,
said, like
right,
actually murder people. So I
right.
mean, it went from that point of cheating to now, I guess we're like myself included are ignorant towards the power that's there. So let's just say in another 5 years, this woke phenomena that's happening translates into
Mm-hmm.
politics as well and in economics as well. And then now you have a lot of financially and politically woke uh, quotation marks African Americans. Do you think that it's just going to go through then, or do you at least for me, I'll say it first. I still suspect cheating. I still suspect
Right.
some kind of
Oh yeah.
grand scheme to
Well,
try to
see.
stop us.
So let's start with that right then and there. See, the cheating thing. This is funny because when you look at what's going on now in the with Trump, he's like, no, we got to recount these votes. We got to do
Right.
this. We got to do that. And because what happens is, you know, he's been always a part of the culture of politics. Even though he's been a businessman, he's always been around and the he's been. I mean, he's been on the Democrat side. He's been bumping his. So he kind of already has an inkling as to how this thing is done. So that's how you know that. Because what I always said, I said, yeah, Trump. Yeah, cheating has always been a part of politics. You know what I mean? No matter
Right.
what's done on the Democratic side and on the Republican side. So I mean, cheating is, if you look at the previous election, 2016, they got him in there. I mean, truthfully, Clinton had the more popular vote, but
Mhm.
the electoral college was like, yeah, we can't really bang with you right now.
Mhm.
So we're going to, Trump is going to be the president. So that is even a form. You can look at that as being. We're not going to say cheating. You can look at that. Some people may look at that as unfair,
Right.
but based on this electoral college thing. But the electoral college kind of tries to keep some balance. That's the whole one of the purposes that they claim is trying to keep some balance in this thing. So what I
Right.
always is, it goes back to what it goes back to the coalitions that we're forming within our community. That's what's going to keep us a little bit
Right. Defended.
sane. Say that again.
Defended. Like, we'll have some kind of defense of some kind of wall, some kind of
Right, exactly,
yeah.
because just your local, because it always starts on the local level. Your local politicians got to be the ones that kind of solicits the Washington D.C. Those in Washington D.C. So your local ones all got to lobby for to go to D.C. to lobby for your community.
Right.
So you know what I mean. So if that's not being done, like my whole thing is, why did it take Ice Cube to go to before no, remember Ice Cube went to the Democrats first, and they said, well, talk to us after we get elected. Well, the thing about it, shouldn't even take an Ice Cube to do that. Our local community folks all around, our state reps, our Congress people, they should have been the ones. And listen, this is our agenda. This is the agenda that I'm setting for my city. or for my state that I need you that Biden and Harris, if you want us on board and you want our vote, this is what you need to do. So when that's not being done, then we're kind of weak. We're kind of behind the eight ball. That's why
Mm-hmm.
they're able to get their people in, you know what I mean, on the local levels. That's what, so why does Barack need the petition, go down there to petition to get the Democrat, those two Democrat seats? Because, the other folk, they kind of know how this is done. They
Right.
kind of know they're loyal. They're going to pretend like they're loyal to Democrat, but no, they're loyal to whoever's going to help improve their lifestyle. And that's
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of where we have to get with this. You know what I mean? It's too much rhetoric and not enough action being taken place from a lot of politicians that's just pretty much, they're lobbying for the vaccine and they're lobbying for,
Right.
they're
Right.
lobbying for whatever particular industry, but they're not lobbying for their communities
Right.
or,
What's
that's not
important to the people that it's affecting.
right, right, right. So when they say power to the people, that was a big slogan during the Black Panther era because, right, they let you know we are the people. We are. They need us in order to keep their power, but the power is really us to have the power.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's the power of the politics. The people have the power. So, but especially when we come together and just focusing on an agenda. That's my main mission: is just focusing on agenda. Let's not get let's not get sidetracked by personalities, by egos, by but let's just concentrate on our agenda. This is what we need to do, which goes back to those 10-point programs, things of that nature. So
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think about this? Vac. Well, you know what? I was just talking with somebody. They was talking about ballot.com, BALLAD, and it's like it gives you like all the like political information. But he was talking about
mm-hmm.
how the people that ran for president, it was like 1,200 people that also ran for president. I mean, including Kanye West. So I'm not even sure what the process is for that, but that's even something that like literally anybody can do. So just politics
Right.
itself is like it's a whole new chapter that we it seems like we've been purposely deflected from, because whenever we get into something, I mean, this probably sounds a little racist, I guess, to say it, but anybody, if you've been, a lot of people are able to excel once they have the exposure to it. Like a lot of and I think for our communities, we just didn't know
Mm-hmm.
that certain things existed, and once we discover it, we kind of dominate, out of because it's
Oh
new,
yeah.
so it
Well,
seems.
that's one of the things you look at is, I mean, one of the main things is that, when Barack came into office, I mean, a lot of these folks are already picked and chosen from the
Mhm.
pick. So, but one of the things about it, one of the good things about it, when you see somebody that kind of look, at the very least, looks like you,
Mhm.
it gives you an opportunity, and you see the style and the swag that person, it gives you an opportunity to say, okay, this is interesting. This is good. And it opens up your eyes because you see somebody that has a position of power.
Right.
So I think that's one of the eye-opening things about, and then especially when he has a wife, that
Right.
that kind of represents, kind of
Right.
represents. It looks like a true quote unquote sister girl.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
okay, all right, yeah, this is, what does this guy do? Okay, he's the head of the country. So even as a young person looking up, it kind of gets you into understanding and being intrigued by the political game.
Hmm.
You know, but before that, you know what I mean? I mean, you had a guy like Jesse Jackson and stuff
Right.
like that. But the issue with Jesse is that he was never what I would say thrusted or upheld by the Democratic
Right.
National Committee to this. He always had to come in as the independent or as
Right.
the outsider. You know what I
Right.
mean? So,
Right.
but now when you have a guy like Barack that's like thrusted and said this is going to be our guy, um,
Right.
it almost presents this picture as if he was appointed by the community.
Right.
So you know what I mean? So that has a different look, you know what I mean? And it has a different, and the narrative that's created is a little bit different. Because when every time Jesse came out, they always had some type of slander. And he was just there. There was no defense against it from the from
Right.
Democrats. But
Right.
now when Barack comes out with something and the Republicans are trying to come at him, the Democrat National Committee is going to be like,
Right.
boom, And what's even interesting about that, is when there's an old clip of Biden in the late '80s, and the head of the Democratic National Committee then has said, "Dude, you're so unethical," and so he just had all these nasty words for Biden that he was like, "You're never going to be head of the you're never going to be appointed to lead the Democratic National Committee as president." So it's funny. I always
Right.
use that. Hey, I always use that as a clip to say never and never quit, because
Right.
Biden he's been at this thing for over 40 something years to become president, and finally, he's been
Right.
elected president. So,
Right.
for better or for worse, but that's the thing.
Right.
You never give up on whatever your dream was. So, and to be honest, I think he kind of did give up, but I think the Democratic National Committee said, "Listen, we don't have any other strong
Right. With a
candidate
track
that
record. Yeah.
so so that's why they pulled him out of retirement and said, all
Right.
right, we want to make you president." So,
And they did.
so that's my take. Somebody may look at it a different way, but I mean, that's the whole. I mean, they ripped him in for. I think he had did some stuff like I mean, a lot of these guys that are appointed president, as you know, they're not. I'm not gonna say they're not intelligent, but they're not
Right.
academically
Right. Right.
they they're not academically smart. You know what I mean? So
Right.
they're like, which is that's a lot of us. You know what I mean?
Right.
I
Right.
was a C student. You know what I mean? So,
Uh-huh.
but the things that comes along with being one of those C type students, which I was never was,
Right.
I was. I'm never. I would. You never could call me lazy. But my biggest thing is that I was always there was something that I was always gravitated to something different than what was being taught at the particular time. So I
Right.
lost interest. So, but you have folks like perhaps like Biden, and as you know, George Bush, GWB. The
Hmm.
second year,
Hmm.
they was always they were these second, C students,
Hmm.
below students and things like that. But one of the things that Biden did or was accused of was plagiarizing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because now you're not using your own ideas and
Thought
philosophy,
Yeah.
and you know what I mean. You're pulling from other folks, so it's like so we never get the chance to see the real you, and
Right.
that's what a lot of people have a problem with throughout his years. He's plagiarized.
Hmm.
So I look at that though as a good
Nothing
opportunity,
authentic. Yeah.
But for us, I look at that as an opportunity because now you're forced, now we may be able to have some influence on a particular person who doesn't have their own ideas and thoughts or
Right.
whatever. They power seeker. Now
Right.
it's like, I'm telling you, this is a good idea. Let's go with it. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Right.
So I look at that as we have to take advantage of that opportunity. You know what I mean? So,
How
you
does it
know,
how does it look right now? Because I remember when I seen the election for the big night when they would show the map all the time. It's like it's kind of flooded with red. I thought sure Trump was gonna get it. Just looking at the colors, you know what I'm saying? It was like,
yeah,
everything was
yeah.
red. So
But the thing about it, yeah. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go
no,
ahead.
no, no, no. So that's what I was thinking though. Maybe that means that Biden, regardless of his good intentions, he might be in a worse position than how Barack was. And Barack it was very hard for him to get anything done. He had to use like almost
Right,
all his ammo just for the Affordable Health Care Act. And then after that, it was like, it was like a trade off because everything else they just shot it down. Mitch McConnell publicly said, like, whatever he says he wants to do, we're gonna say no. Like, it was like,
right,
so
right,
it's like,
right.
are we seeing like a part two of that with the Biden Harris? Because
Well,
I
see,
think it's
I
still,
don't,
yeah. Mhm.
yeah, I don't see see, Barack came in with his own, he came in with his own agenda anyway. I mean, he probably had some other people's agendas that he brought in,
Mhm.
but he also had his own, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to change this. I'm going to do that. And if y'all don't like it, I'm going to just override it.
Mhm.
You With Biden, I don't think he feels so strongly about any of this stuff that he's going to put in a lot of these executive decisions. He may, but I think a lot of the executive decisions that he may roll with may be just silly stuff. You know what I
Right.
mean? Cover pardons and stuff like that for prisoners. But I don't know if he's going to be really. I mean, he'll quote unquote fight certain things, but I don't know if he's really going to be doing a lot of, because a lot of those guys that's on Capitol Hill and stuff. Those are his cronies. Those are
Right.
his you know what I mean. They from the same they from the same league, so to speak.
Right.
So
Right.
so if anything, it'll be a cigar type deal in the
Right.
room somewhere,
Right.
you know, versus him just passing all these government executive decisions,
Right.
especially when it comes to us. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't think his attitude really changed that much from the mid '90s to to where we're at
Right.
now.
Yeah.
And then you got Kamala. And truth be told, I think Kamala is going to maybe, I mean, kind of screwed up to say, but I think she's going to probably be our next president anyway, come
Mm.
January 20.
Yeah.
January, was it January 20, 2020? Yeah, I
Yeah.
think she's going to be um, stepping in and then,
Taking the
because
reins pretty much. Yeah.
Biden is kind of, you look at him, he's kind of, I think he may not be in a good condition to
Right.
really
Speak and
lead the,
stuff. Yeah.
mentally or physically. So,
Right.
but they just needed him to be that symbolic figure,
Right.
you know,
Which
because it's,
I think is crazy. I mean, I think Trump was doing a good job. Like you said, we didn't get into the environmental and things like that because, but he also just had that philosophy, like because like the chemtrails. For years, I was wondering why they spraying chemtrails, but then Donald Trump
mm-hmm,
got on the plane and he made the news crew come with him, and he's on the plane, and it was like it's a big 747 with no chairs in there, and all these different tanks and tubes and hoses that when the pilot pulls the thing, it sprays out
mm-hmm,
what's inside these tubes, and what's inside of them is aluminum. And the whole concept is that you have to spray aluminum over in the sky so that it creates like a shield to block out, to seal, like sort of to seal the ozone layer, to block out radiation,
right,
which I mean scientifically is cool, but they never told us about this. I've never heard them announce this, but you would just see it through the years. It just kept going, except when Trump got in
mm-hmm,
office. If you notice, you don't really see those things. You don't really see the chemtrails. Not saying that you don't see them, because I don't think he stopped
right,
it. I know he greatly reduced it, but it's just like
right,
so. His philosophy was like, because I mean, because what I do know is that aluminum is a form of like metal poison that causes like amnesia or what do you call that thing?
right.
With dementia.
Oh, dementia,
Right,
dementia.
right,
And yeah, we I'm thinking of dementia, but it's
right.
also
Senile and
yeah, anything that has to deal with your mental capacity
right,
is kind of compromised when it comes to aluminum or any type of metal that's getting into your system.
right. And so they're spraying that in the air, and
And
then
right,
nobody knew about it.
right, and that's the thing, and think about all the other private jets and stuff that's going
Right,
around there that could be spraying. I mean, Bill Gates is doing all these types of experiments and stuff. Like
right,
he's like scientists out here, and
right,
it's it's kind of hard for them to put government because it's going to appear to be conspiracy theorists to say, if the government, especially under the Trump administration, says, "Yo, you cannot be, flying your jets all around the place emitting aluminum." Let's just,
right.
you know, they're gonna be like, "Oh, what you talking about, dude?" And
Mm,
it's easy to call him the quack president or whatever. But
right,
those are things um, that you don't that the news, that they're not going to report that type of stuff because it's not going to be they want to keep a certain narrative as far as the president, or let's say mainstream media wants to
mm,
keep a certain narrative as far as your president. They want to keep a certain narrative in terms of they allow you to trickle into your into your cable television box. But
right,
now with social media stuff, a lot of the stuff is getting more and more put out there. But the problem is now they're trying to, sequester that too, as
Right.
far as
Right.
hashtags, they that won't even get looked at now.
Right.
It's interesting, but that's why like when people say stay woke, it's like, yeah, well, the bottom line is we just gotta be diligent with this stuff, diligent with information, with
Right.
sharing information, with knowing, with that's why when I talk to people, that's the first thing I ask. I mean, I don't even bite my tongue no more. I say, well, what's your agenda? What's your purpose? What's your mission? What you trying to
Right.
do? You
Right.
know what I mean? Because based on that, I can see how we can align or we could partner. You
Right.
know, be, so you know, like nowadays, a lot of folks is fighting the same battle. It's just a matter of how we just maybe looking at it through two different lenses.
Right.
So that's the deal, man. So yeah, I mean, all this stuff is it's wild, but we here, we gonna fight through it, we gonna navigate through it, and I'm just trying to make myself accessible to people to so that they can get, whether it's from an economic standpoint, they can get all that they're due, to keep them out of trouble too. So we want you to get all the money you can get, but also try to keep you out of trouble, because they'll give you the money, then they'll throw you in jail.
Right. Right. Right.
So you
Right.
got to
Right.
make sure, you know what I mean, we just stay compliant, we stay diligent, we stay we just know the laws, and we just navigate knowing those things. So I tell people the difference now is tax planning is done before 2021 if you want to make a difference in 2021.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. 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 I want real quick, I want to ask you about these vaccines real quick. Again, going back with Trump, he had like a doctor one time. She came up there to talk about chloroquine, I think it's pronounced, another medicine
right,
alternative as opposed to vaccination. So Trump wasn't really into it. Although under his watch, there's this whole project called Operation Warp Speed, where the
right,
goal is to 100% vaccinate 100% of the American population, and it's in effect pretty much. They want to do it as soon as Biden comes in office. They're not talking about it much. I got like a whole bunch of footage with it, but what do you think about this situation? But it's a forced vaccination on a vaccine that was made pretty much in about 7 months.
right. So what you're pretty much looking at is all economically induced. I mean, these drug companies they killing it. I mean, they literally killing the game. So it's a sad situation, because you have a lot of folks that are just like, yeah, I'm definitely going to get this vaccine because I want to be, and you have a lot of folks that are saying that they're not going to get it. And I understand. I mean, it's weird because I've learned to try to understand on both standpoints. The
Right.
one standpoint is like, you can, like I heard, I think there was this czar, they called him the drug czar or something like that. I forgot he called himself, and he was just saying, oh, African Americans have nothing to worry about. So you can't just say that.
Right.
You can't you can't just say, because we have experienced physical experience. He may not even know. The sad thing is, he may not even know nothing about the history
Right.
of this government towards us. With
America. Yeah. History of the United States.
You're right. He may not even know that. They may have kept that away from his. I'm sure they kept that away from his learning.
Right.
So so the first thing is, can you tell me the ingredients that's in this? That's the first thing. Tell
Mhm.
me the ingredients that's in this thing. Second thing is, let us try. Like, we have doctors and neurologists, and we have those. We can once again form our own coalition, and we can see what this thing do. Let's have our own experiment. Let's not just trust with what you're saying and how
Right.
this thing work. Let us do this from our own standpoint, because there's a history of you practicing this nationally with us, but internationally, you've have practiced it. I mean, the dude from I think he just recently passed. The Dr.
Maybe.
Salk name is, from Thomas Jefferson University,
Oh,
who
okay.
I may have accidentally created the AIDS environment, epidemic and the AIDS virus by trying to find a polio vaccine. You know what I mean? And he was experimenting in Africa. So there's a whole history. So
Right.
before and then I know you see you had Barack that was like, oh yeah, I'll take the vaccine to prove that it's safe. Nah, dude, you don't
Yeah,
count.
yeah, you're the
How,
president. You
yeah,
know
and
secrets and
how
stuff.
you know they may have given you a something another shot and saying, how do we know that that's going into you is the same one that's going into me? That
Exactly. He gets
we're
the
not playing those
presidential
games.
vaccine.
We're
Right.
not playing those games.
You can't
And
even trick me with that. That's some Bugs Bunny stuff right there. Like, here,
right,
don't
right,
go through that door. Go through this door.
right. So what we have to do, I think, at this point, we have to start thinking. Uh, we have to start thinking strategically and cleverly as far as how we want to navigate with this. Because what's going to happen is, I'm in PA and I'm assuming you're in NY,
Right.
and all right, I want to. What else does it even say you're in Florida? And it's like, oh, I want to hop in, take a plane to see, see
Mhm.
Ronnie. We could one-on-one. And situation is they're gonna say, well, get on this plane, you're gonna have to have a vaccination. You're gonna have to prove that you got vaccinated.
Right.
So that's a who wants to deal with that? Especially since I haven't been showing any symptoms
Right.
of all these symptoms that's supposed
Right.
to they haven't shown any of those symptoms.
Right.
And now you're gonna give me something, and who knows what those, they're not gonna be 100% authentic about what the off-brand or the symptoms are going to be of
Right.
taking that back. They're not going to be honest about that.
Right.
So because if you're 100% truthfully honest and making that information to the people, they're going to have second thoughts. I
Right.
guarantee you.
Of course.
Because you think about
Something they don't know
the
about.
six right, the 60-something-year-old lady that's so hype about getting a vaccine to protect herself. Once she sees the once she sees the the effects and the repercussions and consequences that may come with taking
Right.
that, she has a second thought.
That's
You know
right.
what I mean? So she may say, I may take I may rather take my risk,
Well, yeah,
so
especially if you're not
and
sick.
just wear your mask.
Yeah. The thing to me is that it's like I looked up the word, what is a vaccination? And it says vaccine basically gives you some of the bacteria without the harmful stuff of a virus, so that way your body, I don't have to. I'm paraphrasing, so I guess I'll just
Mm-hmm.
general. So it takes in some of the bacteria, your body recognizes it and is able to defend against it when the bacteria, if you come in contact with the bacteria again. But the problem is, if okay, so that of a vaccine works to inoculate the person who takes it. So let the person who wants to take it take it. There's no reason
Right.
why you should force anybody who doesn't want to take it to take it. You shouldn't interfere, because if I get on a plane and everybody on the plane is vaccinated, then they don't. Why do they care if I'm not? Since you're vaccinated, I mean,
Right.
that's the thought in
Right.
my head. I'm like, if you're protected from it, even if I do have it, which I don't think I do, but even if I do, you're fine against it. So what's the problem?
Right.
Why would you be
Right.
stopping me? So that's the thing where to me it just seems like they have a chip in it, or they have these nanotechnology things, and they're gonna. I mean, we've been reading about it for years. The mark of the beast. All you cannot buy, sell, or trade without this mark, and it's like you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna have to get a shot. Then I think about the movie with Will Smith with the dog. He has a dog. And,
Oh
I
yeah,
Am
you're
Legend.
talking. I
In
Legend.
that
Yep, I
in
Am
that
Legend.
movie, that whole zombie apocalypse happened because of a vaccine that was rushed. I mean, in the movie, if you watch the
Mm-hmm.
movie from the beginning, there was a vaccine for cancer, and I think they probably actually was studying it much longer than we've been studying this coronavirus vaccine. But the thing
Mm-hmm.
is, everybody got it and everybody was sick. And no, that can happen. It could be some kind of thing because it's been known for vaccines to give people brain symptoms with brain
Right.
things. So what if it it touches a part of the brain where everybody's just more aggressive or cannibalistic? It could happen. I mean, because you're talking about if we eat flesh now, we kill a cow and cut its meat and eat it, then how would it be that part of the brain that lets us do that if it's intensified because of chemical? Why wouldn't we do that
Mm-hmm.
to people? America again,
Right.
so
Well,
I'm
and you make a very good point because what a lot of folks think about is just they think about just the physical aspect. They
right,
don't think they, but even like when I took the flu, one of the things I remember the one time the one and only time that I took the flu vaccine
right,
and I got seriously sick. But you know what? That was a situation where the company that I was working for,
right,
they gave incentive for you to
right,
take the vaccine. But and you know, being
right,
and it's just simple. You're just that naive, like, oh
right,
yeah. So, but you always think about the physical aspect, but you're never thinking about the mental. Oh, this may
right,
have an effect on my brain, my neurology, my neurology system.
right,
So with that being said, yeah, you got to be very, very, very. You got to know, and that's the thing. Nobody knows what they're taking. I mean, you take certain food. You do before you take certain foods, or you look at the ingredients. I mean, nobody does that with the vaccines. They don't sit there. You just go by what your doctor is telling you, and what your doctor is telling you is coming from what the head doctor or head administrator of this particular facility that you're at. Who gets their information from the American Medical
right,
Association, which is you already know where that's controlled. That so
right,
that's that's separating. Then we getting into the globe, the world and globe controllers versus common sense and best practices for
right,
individuals.
right,
So yeah, but to answer that question as far as that vaccine, I mean, people are going to have to really start to be strategic and think clever about if it's something that's worth. I'm not going to say if you should or shouldn't, but if it's something that's really worth you risking to take, and if it's not, and you still want to get from point A to point B, how you want to navigate around it.
right,
So
right.
you
And
know,
forget about
to
leaving the
get on, they
country.
already saying to get on these planes. You know what I mean? They're going to require that, which is crazy. I flew a couple of times since
Right,
this pandemic, and the craziest thing is some of the safest places to probably be if you want trying to avoid this thing is in the airports where they spraying them down all the
right,
time,
right,
and before you get on the plane, you got to take a temperature, and you
right.
know what I mean, and you got to so those are probably some of the safer places, but yet they're requiring folks to so it is
It's
what it
yeah,
is. But
yeah,
yeah, it's a shame, man, because they're like, and you got those folks like Pfizer, and who are drug companies who are
right,
like top on the stock market and stuff. With pretty, so they're more driven by profit than by just humanitarian.
right,
So that's the sad part. But we're so concerned about um a quick fix. You know what
right,
I mean?
right.
Pill and you'll be cool. It's like, nah. Well, let's try some other stuff.
Yeah,
Let's try
let's study this thing
diet,
first. We got
exercise.
yeah,
You
yeah, right.
know, I
Diet and
mean,
exercise.
one of the things that this has helped me do, because like you working from home and stuff like
Right,
that, is enough time to actually properly prepare my food
right,
and actually exercise. Do a little. I mean,
right,
it's not a 30-minute exercise and
right,
stuff that you really wouldn't do if I was in the hustle and bustle. Before this, I
right,
was working down Center City. You know what I mean?
right,
But once they shut down, I had to do what I do from the crib.
right,
So that's one of the things, and going into 2021, it's helped out,
right,
pretty, I'm not saying it's all bad. I'm not saying
right,
it's all bad, but you take the good with the bad as you navigate, and that's the whole thing going into 2021 with this vaccine. You got
yeah,
to be able to, know how to navigate. If you have to navigate around it, know how. If you choose to take it, know what you're taking, and know what the repercussions is on the body.
right. And I like what you
Because
said too about the coalitions too. That's another clever way to, because you're gonna need like a united front on this thing. I mean, it's one thing to know that a lot of people saying they won't, but I like you said, like going to for just as a matter of work. A lot of times it'll just be, and they'll pop it up on you like, oh hey, yeah, you gotta take the vaccine, and they won't force it. They
Mhm.
won't verbally say it, but you can feel that like, listen, I gotta. And that's how I wound up getting a flu vaccine. It was just like, all right, I was working in a hospital, and it was just like, yeah, you're gonna need the flu shot. Like that's just mandatory. It was like no,
Right,
and I couldn't. What was I gonna say? So I was just like,
right,
okay,
right.
go downstairs and just here's the paper, and I just moseyed on down there and took the shot. And even though in my head I had, for years before that, I had so much to say about vaccines and but it
Hmm.
was a matter of that split second that I was down there sitting in a chair, holding a piece of paper to give to them for them to inject me with whatever was in the bottle. Like I don't even know. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's
And
it.
I
Right.
got sick, you know, I was all like, you know, and then, you know, it's from the bacteria, you know, you get, so it's like you usually, you maybe don't get as sick as you would if you had it, but it's still, it was like, you know, runny nose, tired feeling like, you know, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and it's from an injection. So it's like, it's a united coalition, like you said, is probably a big thing because if they could just sort of like, you know, slide, and I mean, and it's, they have an agenda already. You know, it's called Operation Warp Speed. Like it literally is called Operation Warp Speed. They want to
Mm-hmm.
quickly inoculate a vaccine the entire United States population. Like they've said it. It was a secretary in the army who said that that's what he wants to do. I mean, I can't find it now. I can pull it up, but it's like it'll be
Oh,
something said
I
with
already know. It's usually,
yeah,
yeah, it's usually military, and that Secretary of the Army, he's just an enforcer. You
right,
know what I mean? But you know that it came from another higher up who wasn't even probably the president. You
right,
know what I mean? That pretty much told the president to step aside.
right.
Well, we're gonna, well, we enforce this.
Yeah,
So
it's
yeah, man.
coming down to it. I got, you know, it's terrible when they're gonna force you to take something that can literally kill you. Like, I mean, it'd be
Mm-hmm.
the most quiet way to do it, and they have it planned out where it's with jurisdictions. So again, talking about communities, you know, they'd be like, yeah, this community gets this vaccine, and this community gets this vaccine, and all of a sudden,
Right.
all of a sudden, like, you know, because I mean, you look at the lead in Flint, Michigan, like, you know, that wasn't any kind of a logical, oh, well, let's fix the infrastructure, the piping system, because there's lead there.
Mm-hmm.
You're killing Americans. You're giving children, it was no big deal. And I mean, for years, despite celebrities, despite anything, they couldn't fix pipes. So
Right.
imagine if it's just like, oops, yeah, we just made this vaccine 7 months ago, but everybody in this community all of a sudden is whatever, you know, you just use your imagination, whatever, like whatever you can imagine, and we can only say oops, whether it's just a mass genocide, you know what I'm saying,
Right.
or a coma state where they can harvest their blood or something, you know, like it's
Right, and all that, and that's why that's the importance of. I was just telling somebody that's the, like when you mention I Am Legend and all these type of movies, that's the purpose of paying attention to those because they're dropping hints and images and ideas about what you can expect. You know what I mean? So
right,
a lot of movie writers or whatever, they're in tune to what's going on now, and they're in tune to what's going on. What's to come, and
right,
they're incorporated into into these films for you to pay attention to. So yeah, when you talk about harvesting blood, that just made me think of the HBO series Lovecraft Country. I mean, that's what that was about. It
wow,
was about the bloodline of a black family, and how they and how this Masonic order wanted the bloodline. So with that being said,
wow,
you you got to protect what's yours, and it starts with your own. Your stone starts with your own vessel,
right.
and if you allow these knuckleheads to compromise it, I mean, I
It's already compromised. I look at somebody like Biden Harris. Trump was the only one that was like, no. He was like, listen, he had a doctor stand in front of people like, you don't need a vaccine. Take this. It's called chloroquine. I'm a doctor. I've done it. They are alive. It's fine. The media's hyping it up. He had the lady do it. This was unprecedented. It's like he
right,
did this stuff.
right,
He was always fighting against this vaccine. Dr. Fauci comes up. He would contradict what Dr. Fauci says, kick him off, like he was the only person that was fighting this thing. Now you're gonna have
mm-hmm.
like Harris and Biden. They're gonna be like, everybody.
Oh yeah, they're going to go with this. They're going to say, "Go ahead, folks." Start, and especially her personality. It's like,
Right,
"Oh, come on, guys. It's going to be okay." And then next thing you know, when folks start dying off, a couple,
right,
they immediately,
right,
but within a 5-10 year span,
right,
then it's like, oh, we had no idea
right,
oh, you made a mistake. And then what they're going to do? They're going to give the families of
right,
the who the survivors,
right.
checks, these little checks or whatever, and that it's the same game that's been played throughout decades and decades, and And I think a lot of folks are saying enough is enough.
Hopefully, because it's got to be
Yes,
a united front. It's got to be a united front.
I'm
Because
telling you, man,
I've
that's how
seen
it.
I've seen people get taken away to crazy houses. Like, no, they're gonna give me a medicine. You just they by themselves screaming. It's just like
Right,
we'll watch them drag them away and give them a shot. So it's got to be
right,
everybody's got to be feeling and seeing the same thing. And the only way we can do it since we're locked down is through media, which is controlled. So it's it's really like a crazy scary movie, man. You know.
right. It is because once this gets put out there, on whatever platform,
Right.
and something's being said that somebody don't like, then it's like up, it gets taken down. You know what
Right.
I mean? And then you say,
I
all right,
believe
I'm
it.
gonna my own platform. I have my own server or whatever. You know what I mean? Depending on who's controlling that server,
Right.
So yeah,
Right.
you just gotta keep it moving. Keep the information out there, keep it flowing, and
Right.
get folks to just to tune in.
Yeah,
So
man.
and that's the main thing is sharing of information. I mean, that's why I'm the magazine thing that's out there. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
it's about the sharing of information. The more information, the better. The more people can utilize resources. So that's why we appreciate what you're doing, bro.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. I appreciate you coming on, man. And I
Oh,
gotta get
oh
you on
yeah, because
again,
I was
man.
thinking you was talking about like next week sometime. You was like, nah,
Nah.
right
Yeah.
now.
That's why I do that to everybody. I contact them right away, and I say, "Listen, I've done enough shows, or you at least know I'm doing a show. Come on the show." And they'll be like, "Okay, what's it about?" I'm like, It's not about anything. We're just gonna talk, like, because the people that I know, are incredible people. I mean, yourself included. Like everybody that I've had on the show, everything. I had a woman from who, man, I can't think of her name now. I'm seeing her face, but she's the founder of Guapcoin. And man, I'm
Mm,
so sorry, I can't think of her name right now. But Tavona Evans. And yeah, so but yeah, I thought that's just one person. But I mean, people that started cryptocurrency, people that like yourself, magazines, economics, politics.
right,
You know what I'm trying to say? And it's
right,
not. It's
right.
one thing for me to say it. It's another thing for you to talk and for it to be shown. And so I appreciate you coming on, man.
Pretty much. I mean, it's almost like you knew the right time. It was like 3 o'clock. I couldn't even say, no, three ain't
Yeah.
gonna.
Well, I'm
I'm
missing
actually
this thing, man. I'm missing. I was designed for this. This is what I do because I really am fascinated with people, and I'm able to if I like to be able to show it to the world. Like, look at this guy right here. Look, how about that? You know what I'm saying?
right,
You
right, right, right,
know what I'm
right.
saying?
Oh yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, because it was like I looked at that, I was like, yeah, I was like, it was funny because between 3 o'clock and literally to actually actually 4:45,
Uh-huh.
I was I was in chill mode. I was gonna
Right.
be so this was kind of perfect as far as that's
Yeah,
concerned.
man.
So
Yeah.
the person dealing with at 4:45. That's what we getting stuff set up for 2021 as far as health insurance and
Right.
just a lot of things. It's funny because like I said, Pennsylvania is a Democratic run state, and they got away with they did away with the Obamacare. That's not even going to be a thing for 2021. So it just goes to show you, they kind of piggybacking off of some of the ideas that Romney had, with this new insurance is called Penny. So it's a lot of information that's out there that we really need to
Yeah.
kind of capitalize off of. Especially I got to get more into the cryptocurrency. I got to because I have to be whether or not I'm gonna take advantage of it or not. I have to be better at explaining that to some of my clients and stuff. That's
Right.
starting to ask about it. So I know you definitely in connection with folks that's really making moves off to the
Oh yeah.
cryptocurrency
Yeah.
and real estate and things of that nature. So we have to stay on top of the game. That's why, if I have any information I can share with people, I'll
Yeah.
definitely you have my information, so you can
Yeah.
get
Well,
it.
I want to definitely get you back on, like even just to get updates, like because um, financially, that's those are things that we lack, and a lot of times we'll want to act like we know, but it's just like and you have to ask, so you have to at least listen. So I appreciate when you like that whole everything you were saying about the economic. situation we were in or that we are in,
Oh
because
yeah,
it's like it's insightful. You know what I'm trying to say, and it's just yeah. So definitely, I
right, and it comes from experience. There's certain things. We can read all the books in the world, and we can read. Because what books is dated. Books is
right,
good for the history. Books is dated.
right,
So I mean, like you were just saying, like coming into the political game. You know, um, it's so much. It's so much vast. So that's why I said what a good thing about understanding or knowing about history is you can learn where you're at now. But the bottom line is the experience, like what you're doing now with talking to different folks and
mhm,
understanding their experiences. That's how I'm able to help other folks because I've seen the experienced people and so not so good experience that folks
right,
have had with certain situations. I can say, listen, we don't want to go this route because that's like when you talked about the whatever the rapper is. We don't know the rapper, but we know the
right,
experience they had when they got that money
right,
and they
right,
lost it. But it was like, yeah, well, we see that we're always under surveillance. So you know what I mean, and especially since they were one of the first ones to get that money, they were one of the first ones that they wanted to make an example of. So because anytime that I'm the first one to get anything, I'm always looking, well, why? You
right,
know what I mean? So what makes me so special? I always
right.
ask that question. So yeah, man. So I mean, I'm definitely down to get back on and if I have any more information to share or because I'm
Tell, tell,
around.
tell me, plug your business. What's a website or something?
Well, okay. Well, I'm involved in multiple business, but the
Right.
main one that we can that where it all starts is ksgtax.com. Actually, yeah, that's the easiest way. ksgtax.com. I was going to tell you the whole name, marvinkincaid.com, but you can go to ksgtax.com if you're looking for um, any, as far as business tax, income tax preparation, accounting, bookkeeping, payroll. If you're looking to get involved in a small business, or you have a micro business, you're an independent contractor. Give me a buzz. I can help you with tax planning. I can help you with financial planning. I can help you with just keeping your business on track to develop and expand. So that's the first one. Is K as in King, S as in Sam, G as in Good, ksgtax.com. Then on the flip side, as far as the marketing, like kind of what we're talking about now, is there's the I call it it's a magazine, but I really call it my newsletter known as Urban Ground Magazine, and that's what's really promoting. Like I'm gonna be promoting your business, your show. And that's really just it's a print. It's print because I still believe in print magazine.
Classic,
I still believe in even
classic, man.
digital print.
Yeah.
So go to urbangroundmagazine.com or you can go to my IG, which is Urban Ground Magazine. So yeah, and we're going to be 2021. We hitting the ground hard. So if you want to, you have any clients, consumers that want to market their business and want to get it out there, that's what it's really about: promoting urban culture, urban philosophy, urban economics, urban ideals. Even if we disagree with some of their ideals, that's okay. We want to put it in the magazine, and then we'll even have folks on your show that they can debate
Right.
firsthand. Or we can at least challenge them, or you can at least challenge them on some of the ideas that they presented. You know what I mean? Whether those
Make it
ideas
happen.
in an essay, of course. In this next issue, we got Noreen Mallory. That's going to be, she contribute a couple of articles. We got a couple of decent businesses in there that we're going to be promoting and marketing. We got decent features. So ksgtax.com, urbangroundmagazine.com. Those are the things that's keeping me grounded right now.
Dope. Marvin
So
Kincaid, my man.
I appreciate you, good brother.
Appreciate you, brother. Yeah. Everybody tune in to the Rodney Clay Show, where I'll have more guests and more upgrades, more things going on. We're doing this YouTube live thing, and yeah, it's really pretty cool to be able to go live. It's a different feeling with it when it's not as edited out. Um, so yeah, talk to y'all again. See you next time. Peace.